A look at Chris Webber, 3 of 4 from the field, 7 points. And when Webber signed with the Pistons back in mid-January, it truly was a homecoming. Chris grew up in the Detroit area, attended Detroit Country Day High School, located in Beverly Hills, Michigan. And Chris led Country Day to 3 straight championships, 89 through 91, each of them on the floor here at the Palace. And he says he looks at this as a last chance to win a title, although he feels retirement is still a couple of years away. He's never played in the NBA Finals. He's been in the conference finals. That was once back in 2002 when his Sacramento Kings lost in Game 7 in overtime to the Lakers.
Let's see what Cleveland gets out of this timeout, and let's see if Flip Saunders go to a zone so that they can't run the play maybe they just call. But Steve, I'm with you right now. A little danger time for Cleveland. Detroit's really trying to make a push here going into halftime with a nice lead.
Here's Gibson. Draws the foul. He went at Wallace and felt the contact. So Wallace with his second, and Gibson to the line. He was 12 for 12 at the line in Game 4.
Did this a couple of times in Game 4, showing a lot of poise, a lot of savvy for a rookie player to learn how to use that body to draw contact. He knows that if he goes straight up, Rasheed Wallace blocks that shot.
Well, Mike Brown thought in the first 2 games of this series that his team went away from the shot blockers rather than going into them. That was not the case the other night. Cleveland went to the line 33 times, and you spoke of it. Gibson was 12 of 12, so they are now starting to try to get into the bodies of those shot blockers from Detroit.
35-29 Pistons. How about Chris Webber? Strong first half for Webber. Gibson facing a trap. Pavlovich. And Hughes resets. LeBron James sitting on the bench, getting a rest. Shot clock to 5. Good. Nice move by Drew Gooden.
That's only their 4th point in the paint. So we've talked about them being jump shooters tonight. Detroit has done the job with their traps. Normally Cleveland averages 40 points a game in the paint. Tonight only 4 so far.
Hughes with the steal. That pass telegraphed. Pavlovich. Larry Hughes making that play. First the steal, then the setup for Sasha Pavlovich.
Cleveland withstanding this little surge with LeBron on the bench. They get a couple of easy buckets, and now Flip Saunders is the one who's going to take the timeout. And with all this said, Doug, you talk about the points in the paint, the offensive efficiency with Detroit. They've done so many things well, and yet here they are only up by 4 points. And thanks to this steal from Hughes and then the assist, Pavlovich at the other end. So Cleveland hanging in.
Honey, I think this might be our lucky day.
I think it might be.
I think this is what we've been waiting for.
I think it is. Yes! It turned blue!
Introducing the Coors Light Cold Activated Bottle. The mountains turn from white to blue when your beer reaches the perfect temperature.
It's blue like your eyes.
My eyes are green.
Only from Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
Truck guys told us what matters in a half-ton is guts. So we gave this truck a big rear axle, a stronger frame, and the biggest honking bed. All to help it handle payloads of 2,000 pounds. Which answers the age-old question of how to put a ton of whatever in a half-ton bag. Available on the all-new full-size Tundra. The truck that's changing it all.
Well, a steamy night here in the Motor City.
Steamy.
Steamy, hot and humid.
I would have gone with sticky, but
in the 90s earlier today. And in the crowd, Detroit native Anita Baker did a terrific job singing the national anthem. Bob Seger on hand, along with Kid Rock, who is a regular. We saw them in Cleveland.
Nice of the Pistons to wait to shoot until after we got all the celebrities in.
Shot clock down to 1. And it is a violation.
Well, Marv, I'm with Steve. You know, you come out of that timeout and you look at the numbers. The Pistons shooting 56%. They have 12 assists, only 4 turnovers. Out shooting Cleveland, outplaying them down, and Cleveland down only 4. Mike Brown has to be very happy right now that his team is where it is with with Detroit playing so efficiently on the offensive end.
Cleveland doing it without LeBron James. A long respite for LeBron. Here's Ilgauskas with the tip.
I think these guys like playing against each other, particularly one-on-one on the post. Each guy, I think, has the ability to go around the other. And for Ilgauskas, the same type of move that we saw Weber make.
Oh, Weber from Hamilton. 11 points for Weber. He's the high man.
When Weber has struggled in this series, generally it's been with Gooden or maybe Varejao on him. He struggles with the speed and quickness, but with Ilgauskas, it's a matchup that I think he's very comfortable with.
Delfino with the steal off the deflection. Maxino gets inside. Pistons by 6 with just under 6 minutes to play in the first half. And Larry Hughes was trying to call for a timeout, but Kenneth Salvatore did not recognize it.
Back-to-back turnovers here by Cleveland. Let's take a look here. Larry Hughes, I don't know if he steps out of bounds or he just dribbles it out of bounds, so a careless play.
Normally, Doug, when you make that little point towards the sidelines, the official knows exactly what you're talking about. He pointed twice, and Bennett did not give him the call.
Remember, Bennett was referee with Steve Nash against the Lakers in that situation. Remember last year in the playoffs, twice when Nash dribbled on the sideline, thinking there was a timeout,
yep.
None was called. Twice Nash coughed it up, went into overtime, and then Kobe hit the shot to win that game. So you better make sure that if you get the signal you want a timeout, or somebody better call it.
But Detroit gives it back on a turnover. LeBron James back on the floor, being played here by Carlos Delfino. Ilgauskas and the foul.
Cleveland's starting to get inside now. If you're Mike Brown, you've got to be happy about that. All of a sudden, your big men are getting in the paint, getting some scores. We've seen Big Z now get in there twice, get a tip in, this time an opportunity for a three-point play. And Cleveland just quietly hanging around. If Ilgauskas makes this free throw, they're down only 3.
Foul on Max Seal. 3-point play for Zydrunas Ilgauskas.
See, I think this is normally the time when Antonio McDyess would come back in for the final 5 minutes of the half for defensive purposes. You know, with LeBron back in the game especially, Detroit has to be aware of those high screen and rolls.
Foul committed by Hughes. So both teams are now over the foul limit. And with McDyess not available after being ejected back in the first quarter, Flip Saunders and the Pistons are fortunate that they're getting a good run here from Chris Webber.
And you know, when you think of the Cavaliers, the areas that they've been in so good all season long, look what they're down tonight on the average, almost 13 offensive rebounds tonight, only 3 second chance points down. Look at those points in the paint. So Detroit is trying to take away their strengths, but Cleveland's not going anywhere right now.
Chauncey Billups now 1 of 3 at the line. And here is Dale Davis. Talked about him earlier. This is only his second appearance in this series. Played well in game 1 in a very brief stint in the first half. Detroit 42, Cleveland 38.
And they've been up the floor almost on every made field goal and free throw. They're staying in this little trap and just trying to make Cleveland freelance.
Holding foul, says Bob Delaney, and that'll be 2 shots. Both clubs are over the foul limit. Chauncey Billups looking puzzled about the call, which is on Dale Davis. Ilgauskas to the line. You can log on to TNT Overtime on NBA.com to see if the TNT studio team can make the American Idol cut. Go behind the scenes with Ernie and Kenny on their audition with American Idol star Melinda Doolittle during her surprise visit with the guys. TNT Overtime, the basketball broadband channel that is on all the time, only on NBA.com. So Melinda sang the national anthem the other night in Cleveland.
Sager being part of that band, I would think that he might want to get in those tryouts.
He was at a very high level.
He was into it. There was no question about that.
Ilgauskas with the last 7 points for the Cavaliers, who are now within 2. Phillips. 9 points for Phillips. He had 18 at the half the other night, but the Pistons are getting balanced scoring. Gibson is fouled. And once again with Cavaliers in the bonus. Hamilton on the foul. That's his second.